Much, Vishal, my friend, and for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Another Thursday, we have a great webinar with Business Central. Yesterday, we're going to review the posting groups. Posting groups will be important for linking my GL accounts to operations and all my activities, right? Just the name is quite, it's not exactly telling us what it is. Let me explain you. Today, I'm an accountant. The accountant is in charge of selecting basically the GL accounts for different subledgers and modules. If I have manufacturing, purchase, sales, etc., the most common ones, but also if I work with the stores and retail, or if I work with CRM and etc., right? As another example, let me just show you what the regular accountant does on a daily basis so we can get some insights of what we're going to review. Here I have the purchase documents, KPI tiles of my different information, like the cash accounts balances, as an example, the payments that I need to do coming from AP, and so on. So the idea is that if now with this with Business Central, making some drill downs into the information at the end, very important. Any activity at the end, of course, will be centralized. All the operation, any document that we do, any activity that we process. And as an example, I'm reviewing the purchase invoice, right? That was posted here because I need to pay it. Here I can see just some of the detail and the information that was posted to the AP account, right? So $25,270 I need to pay for this invoice. So the same happens with sales operation to create my P&L, right? And here some Cortana analysis that I just presenting for the accountant. Here I have my analysis of cash cycle days, right? In my analysis, then I can understand how then I'm integrating my cash activities for January, February. In this example, I can see that as an example, my days of sales are, as an example, increasing. If I take a look at this gray line, right? And the, let's say, days of inventory as well is decreasing, do the same activity. This is reviewed only, this is not inventory analysis. This is reviewed in my chart of accounts, right? And this is very convenient just to review this type of analysis in my company. And if I take a look at the cash flow forecast coming from Cortana with my historical data plus the adjustments that Cortana or Intel, the forecast basically is doing for me, I can see overall the health of the company in the future, coming everything as well from my chart of accounts when I can review all the modules that in one single screen, I can see everything that is affecting currently my results in cash only, at least for this analysis. I can see that in different colors, my account categories, receivable, cash flow, purchase orders, right? All these different categories are just depicted here in this chart, and the overall health of my company in this gray line is increasing. So, doing for me with actual data here, and for March, April, and May is actually giving me some insights about review by review history and with different analysis how we'll be behaving in the future. Okay, so what else? The accountant also reviews the income statement just to review the chart of accounts. This is automated. We can review any report that you want, income statement, any type of analysis, the balance sheet or the expenses report, whatever you need to be scheduled. In this case, well, this was through the morning, scheduled to 30 a.m. in order to present my information when I just open my my working area or my role center. So was also printed in PDF. We can print it for you in any type of Office a format with our integration with Office tools. Good. You can see the overall activities of an accountant on a daily basis, not to mention you need to review a PAR, etc. Okay, coming now to understand the most important topic for today, which is posting groups. Okay, how does my automation work behind the scene? I need to review my chart of accounts. I'm taking a look at the information I just would like to just show you before I start configuring posting groups. What type of numbering I work for my accounts. So I have, of course, my different sections. My balance sheet that has the asset, the liabilities. If I go a little bit down, I have my income statement with all the different segments by reviewing the income, the cost, the expenses, and then I can then prepare my first list of accounts and the formulations, right? Also, my numbering of my accounts start with the regular a standard, which for the different accounts start with 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. This is just to make our demos easier to understand and no segmentation. Okay, here the posting groups begin. All right. Also, we have for you to know, just to remember the functionality. We can create your reports coming from your chart of accounts. We can export it to integration with Power BI, Jet Reports, and internally also we have some tools called account schedules to prepare your reports according to your needs. With these specific accounts, of course, you can drill down, all right, like we have just seen before. And well, where does this information come from? As an example, I want to review the income coming from services or the regular product sales. So I have divided my sales information into 2 different accounts because I need to work with 2 different type of business units in my company, income services or product sales. It depends now how I want to then organize my chart of accounts according to your company requirements, right? In this case, I can see that if I take a look at the general entries or a drill down into the information coming from this GL account 40200 income product sales, all the detail is presented here by document, of course, orders, sales orders, invoices, the different numbers, the specific dates in the first column, and here the amounts. Well, actually, when I just work with any document or any information, like in this case, sales operations, we need just behind the scene configure the documentation for that operation for sales orders need to be configured to take this specific account when I work with retail product sales or wholesaling sales that are not services. How does NAB knows when I prepare a sales order how to integrate into the income services or the product sales account the specific information to post and select the right GL account? Let's take a look. We call it the posting groups. And here we are going to review some of it for you to learn or training or just as to remember the specific information that we have. Okay. If I start to work with a posting groups, let's talk about some of the operations. I have purchase, sales operations, AP and AR, the most important. But also I have banking, retail when they apply from stores and so on. So let's begin with the analysis of what do we have in my posting groups. Okay, first of all, we have the vendor posting groups. It's a very easy analysis to do. I'm going to start with AP. AP is a selection of all the purchase in order to select an account for all my purchases, purchase invoices, sometimes expenses, right? Well, I need to select a payables account, right? We currently have to select the specific type of AP process that I will be handling. For instance, I have domestic vendors, of course, right? I could create a foreign setup, foreign vendors, okay? I'm creating a new classification. This is a posting group. I want to first give you the insight before going into further analysis. I'm categorizing my vendors. I have a list of vendors that I'm going to show in a second. And then I have just the necessity to link my foreign vendors to a payables account, all right? How do we know it? Well, here we have all the specific type of GL accounts that could be linked coming for a vendor operation. So we have divided the posting groups into different type of categories for you to start setting up, excuse me, the information, right? As an example, this is just AP. So either it's important sometimes to select and create maybe a different account for foreign vendors due to the fact that they work with different currencies sometimes, or we can just use the same payables account, right? So this type of this type of setups, this is what we're going to be doing today, right? So, well, the idea of working like this is to link all the operations that I have in my company to the specific GL account required. So you understand this basic example, all right? Now, let me just explain you with a presentation a little bit further where we're gonna go, because this is not only about AP. I have different type of posting groups. We are going to review the type of posting groups we're going to review for you to learn, explain the setups, and explain the differentiation between general and specific posting groups. What we have seen review with AP is specific posting because it's just one-to-one GL account with a vendor. But that's not the case when we work with some other modules. Let's review them. What are posting groups? Then a Microsoft Dynamics Nav are used to create and Business Central, different applications, inventory, customers, vendors, etc. As a result, you must have set up the chart of accounts before you can create posting groups. So before linking all the chart of accounts and your charts and all those GLs need to be there according to your operation, right? The general posting groups, then we have the specific and of course for taxes. Right? This is what we're gonna be taking a look. So first, let's review the general posting groups. General is for sales and purchases, okay? What do we have? We have here like, to make it easier to understand, in the general type of posting groups, we have more or less 30 accounts to set up. Why? Because we have sales, purchases, discounts, cost of goods sold, and inventory. And you can imagine how many type of accounts, how many accounts you might have here, all right? But this is basically related to trade. The general posting setup is then, or general posting groups is more related with inventory and how the inventory is being held in the different areas. Okay, I have a question, let me check. Oh, very, very good question. How do you know if the chart of account is okay already? Yes, this is the heart of all accounting. And the components to be configured, let me just go back a second to Business Central before I continue with the theory, because this is a very important topic to review. I want to go back to show you an example or how we can work with a good guidance when we work with GL accounts. Yes, there are many types of ways of creating it. and according, of course, also with your operations, right? But in a general way, I'm going to work with GL account categories. Let me just open just to show some examples. First of all, in order to understand if the quality is good, why don't we, before going into the detail and creating thousands of GL accounts, what do we do in Business Central? We normally have our, of course, categories like assets and liabilities as an example, and then the equity, right? Like normal accounting criteria. Then we're gonna go with you if we want to, if you implement, for instance, if we're gonna work with any segment, okay, we have the current assets and the fixed asset. Of course, that's normal accounting. Now, but the important thing is for the GL accounts, right? Let's say that you want to implement fixed assets, okay, within the company. So we calculate depreciation automatically, monthly depreciation if you want, fixed with formulations for all your assets, right, for the vehicles, buildings, etc. So we as consultants are going to tell you whenever we go and implement any subledger, any module, which accounts according to the operation we're going to be using. Because we need to guide you for the specific subledger and type of modules we work with. We need to guide you through that process before in advance coming to posting groups, create a good chart of accounts, because yes, they have criteria to work. For instance, a very good one. Sometimes when you purchase, some companies create in the cost of goods sold or just in expense, they create a GL account for expenses, all right? This is not according to a subledger module like banking or fixed asset where we consultants, because we know Business Central very well, we help you there. But there are some other criteria, like when we work with expenses, some companies like and love to see their purchases expense in the expenses in a general way in the P&L area, right? But what happened when you actually purchase then an item that is actually yours, but is either that when I pay it, is that my asset or is that an expense, right? Where should I record that type of income or inventory, right? Because we have a soft process. So in case of Business Central, we help you, we ask you, where do you want it? Or do you want me to suggest? Because first, for instance, if I want to purchase something, I would first of all use an expense account or a cost account as an example. It depends for materials, right? But it will remain here as long as you wait for it. But when you pay your invoice, then it will be part of your inventory, and only Business Central is going to allow you to put into inventory that specific value when you purchase, not before. It will be held in as an expense until you pay it, and then it's your inventory. So here also we have an internal process according to the operation, right? So as you can see, we have subledgers to work with the consultant, and as well, we work with the type of operation you work with. In that type of, or with these two simple examples, we know then which GL accounts we need. Last, if you held manufacturing or stores, POSs as an example, then we are going to create specific GL accounts for that type of operations, because they are independent process for the stores that we don't see on our regular wholesaling company. Hopefully that helps you a little. It's a long discussion about GL, but as you can see here, we have subledgers, internal processes, and specific operations by module, and we help you with all of this. Hopefully this answer a little, or give you an insight of how do we actually work with the quality, but we help you at the end with the chart of accounts. Continuing, no problem. Any question will be then answered now. We're coming with the posting groups. With that, in mind, thinking that the GL accounts are already prepared. This is very important now because in order to understand, we might be working now with different type of criteria before coming to the final decision for your implementation. Let me just make it easier for you. I'm going to work with an example. This is all a theory before we go and start making setups. I have my general posting. What happens if whenever I have different criteria or variables? For instance, if I purchase, I have domestic vendors, right? Or by regions or overseas, and also different type of items, right? So I have raw material, retail, resources, or services type of items. I started with this example. The general posting group is the most difficult to understand when we implement. But of course, there's a combination if I work with different type of items or different type of vendors. Basically, because as we saw before, we could have different type of AP accounts for domestic and for I, because they have different currencies, right? And as well, talking about my inventory, I could have one for raw material, one for retail. Why? Because it's very important for me if I have, for instance, manufacturing, to manage an account for raw material, right? And well, retail is an account for, or type of retail items is because I'm just reselling. So I need that account. And with the combination of these two, well, the GL accounts will be changing, right? The user never sees the GL account. That's the idea. That's why we are having this webinar. They only open a purchase or a sales order and voila, the GL accounts will be held there. Okay. After I have explained this combination, let me show you where do we actually work. Okay, we have we call it matrix of the combination with the variables that we have explained. For instance, just to make it simpler, I don't want to overcomplicate this. I know that it's not that easy. Let's go and start from scratch to give you the real idea, and then you keep the complexity for a second part of the training. Now, the general posting setup table is where I actually decide. For instance, you can see that I have two main columns here. Well, in first place, the accounts that are required. You need a sales account to be picked, a purchase account, a cost of goods sold account. And this is all related. The general posting, general is related to trade, related to inventory operation. That's why I have the GL accounts required in this specific matrix of called general posting setup. If I open now Business Central, I can show you this matrix. But for now, remember general related to trade, and that's why I have all inventory, cost of goods sold, everything that touches my items or services or any type of GL account where I should post any inventory or non-inventoriable but services account related. Well, here that's how I'm going to see this matrix. Okay, as a second part of the same matrix, I have the general business post group, okay? Related to who, okay? I'm gonna give you my presentation after this meeting, by the way. The general posting group is the first column of this matrix, and here I should ask one question. Is this a customer or a vendor in the first column, all right? So in this example, I have domestic either customers and vendors, right? Because of course, I'm going to select a sales and a purchase account. Hopefully that simplifies some of the information we see. If not, just let me know. Once I have this part, the division for my customers and vendors, in this example, domestic or export, right? Then the second column of the same matrix will be for general product posting groups. So once again, the type of products that I have. And here, basically, Well, I'm showing the retail type of product, all right? So this is related to the item card, all right? So I'm checking now two type of things, the vendor, the customer, and in the second column, the item. Very good. So we have two columns and I'm combining the two specific variables. You can see for services is linked to the export and domestic and European Union. Then we have retail type of items and raw material, and we as well just combine everything. That's how we then set up the account. So in this example, I have my domestic type of customers and then the services type of items. So with domestic sales operations and services items sold, I want the sales account 42100 as an example. So that's basically what we do here. And in the other side, if I have a domestic vendor and a service, and I purchase a service, then I want this purchase account, 54100. So this is the most complicated, believe me. The other ones are more simple, all right? So with this information, then now you understand that we at least need a sales account, a purchase account, but here you can review all the complete matrix of the accounts required. So cost of goods sold, inventory, direct cost, overhead when you work with manufacturing, and we have some others, but the idea is not to just to learn all of this, but I want to give you the idea that we have a matrix called General Posting Group, and here we set up the accounts for our purchasing, trade, and sales operations, right? And we have many possibilities: discounts, inventory, cost, sales, purchase, credit when you want to give credit, inventory accruals when you, this is very funny, the inventory accrual works when I just don't invoice immediately my purchases as an example, but I just receive the items. So I, first of all, have a debt, and that's why it's an inventory accrual. But we go with you and we ask you how you operate your purchase and sales. We suggest you the accounts to use, and we then prepare everything. And as long as you understand what we do, we are fine, all right? Well, basically, in a diagram, I want you to learn for the first time these Business Central words. General business posting group coming from the customer, and general business posting a group now here coming from the vendor, all right? And then, well, this is what we call the general business, and the question is again, who, okay? And then for you to remember, then we have in another part, the item information is called general product posting group. So it's basically about the terminology, all right? But with the general business posting group before coming from the vendor and the general product posting group, then we create the general posting setup. Okay, I'm gonna do it just for you to see what do we have here. Okay, so once again, a combination of two columns, I have handle the sales and purchase accounts. All right, I'm gonna show now, this is the most difficult one. Don't want you don't want to make this complicated or over complicated. I'm gonna show Business Central, right? I have my accounts here, all the ones that I use. This is a super simple a chart of accounts, just in this case, well, review by category, because I don't want to complicate. And with also, like I show you before, the chart of accounts currently has a basic numbering system for us to understand easily what are we configuring. All right, let me go and open the matrix for the first time. Okay, the general posting setup is here. And when we do an implementation, I oversimplify this for you to understand for the first time. For some of you, this is super simple, but I need to once again explain. Okay, here we create the domestic type of vendors and customers, right? Locally. I can, of course, continue on creating foreign or by geographical area, right? North, south, according to your requirement. For the USA version, this works differently because we work by state, by district, and by the county, etc. So this is normally, this is now used for European Union or Latin America, and except for the USA and India. But India, I don't have any Indus today. But anyway, I have my domestic, and I only have to oversimplify this, the non-taxable items, they're retail, because I just purchase and sell immediately. And my services type of items, right? So I just show you that I need a sales account. In this case, I only have for services and product sales, all right? So if I take a look, I just need to, for the non-tax and retail items, select the income product sales for 0 to 100, all right? Very easy example. But here I have another type of item. It's the same type of criteria for the sales, domestic for my sales, sales for my domestic customers, but the item is now different. And guess what? This can make in some instances big difference, because I want to separate my income by the specific criteria. Okay. So when I prepare a sale operation for a domestic customer and a retail and a product, then this account will be selected, all right? And I'm gonna show it in a second. Now, only just for you to remember, it's not only the sales criteria, but also I have other related accounts to inventory, like the purchase accounts. Let me just expand this. Just for you to remember, this is what we call the general. This is not specific. Specific is when we talk about your bank account, as an example. It's only one bank account, one GL account, all right? That's what we call, that's how we see it, specific. But in a general, it's talking about the entire operation with combination of these two columns that we explained. And here, all my possible accounts related to inventory, all right? I'm not gonna go in depth, but with at least just the basics. For my purchase account, I, of course, I'm going to need as well a purchase credit memo account. Could be the same, like in this example, or if you want it, we can separate it. If you have a discount functionality, well, we are going to need an account also for that, to avoid mixing my normal purchase with the discount that I offer, all right? Just, it's a good practice to separate it. And another very, very, very important account is the cost of goods sold, all right? We can also separate it for you if you want it, because when we have value in my inventory account, at some point that value needs to be transferred to the cost of goods sold when I make a sale operation, right? Sales invoice or sales order. So we have, as you can see, process, and the same values are moving from different accounts to others, right? So let's make a sales invoice as an example with this brief introduction, with this explanation, and let's see which accounts will be held. For those of you who haven't seen a Business Central, I'm working with a Business Central version 15. This could be implemented on premises or in the cloud. This is the new technology working now, integrated with different applications. I have Power BI if you want to see it. I have Jet Reports. I have Office and Outlook 365 integrated. So this is not an isolated software anymore like in the old days. I'm going to create now, coming back to my explanation, a sales invoice with any random item, but I want to see some general information about the customer. Okay, I'm creating a sales invoice for this customer called Adatum Corporation, all right? So what are the characteristics of these specific customer? Let's just take a look. This customer is from USA and Atlanta. So this is the geographical area. I'm working in a USA a demo database. And here for my customer, guess what? In the invoicing section, if I open my customer card, of course, I have different sections. The general information is here. Well, here and a picture, right, of the contact. I have my total sales operations, right? This should be matched. This is a subledger coming from the actual sales account in the name with the name of this customer in order to get the cost and the total sales. So this, then I can calculate in a further BI analysis the profit coming from the customer, coming everything for my chart of accounts. Now, what the only important thing for me, the only important setup for this customer here is the general business posting group is domestic. Okay, so here in the specific item as customer card, I will be selecting the type of customer related to the previous matrix that I explained before. And well, I'm inputting the domestic customer in my sales order. Now, in another section, I have here my lines item to be to order, right? So I'm just going to work with a random item. I have an Athens desk, and I'm going to input the information for the East location code, which is a warehouse, by the way. I have different locations. This is a multi-site environment. I have the main, and I distribute to the east and the west, all right? So in order to sell, I'm not gonna use the main, but these distribution centers. Just, I don't know, just a random quantity, 5 pieces currently that will be sold. Oh, by the way, this is telling me that I have the availability of the inventory is lower, so I need to purchase at some point, right? Now, what happened here when I create this one, I need to review also, as I did with the customer. I'm going to select my the Athens desk to review the configuration done for the item. As you can see then, if I open my item card as well, I have a lot of information. Here's the item card for those of you who haven't seen it. I have just a picture here, and here, well, some of the attributes. This is black, the measurements and material description. You can, these are, we can handle barcodes and etc. Normal inventory management. The only important thing for me currently is this. The general, remember, general product posting group is retail, all right? So what happened if I combine a domestic group with an item that I just call retail? Remember the categories. This is not a service. This is a retail, but also this is a non-tax. Non-tax sometimes is for, I don't know, a specific type of items that will never handle, like products with food stamps in the USA, right? This type of items never handle or should not handle some type of general expenses, but they handle specific expenses, right? But the normal analysis would be, if I don't handle with the USA localization, just please select and categorize your item according to the nature of the item, manufacturing, retail, services, etc. Also, the inventory, very important, should be inventory for the items that you stock, just to be a logic. Okay, we have service type of items. This means that I can just sell it. Also, I can give maintenance if I want it after I sell it, right? For those of you who have those type of operations, or non-inventory. Non-inventory will be this type of items that you never count. It's not important, maybe office supplies. Okay, coming back to the sales order. My only explanation will reach this point. I want to create this sales operation And if I want to just post it, this will be preparing automatically for me my invoice document. And I want first to preview the GL accounts for my operation in advance. Let's take a look. I can navigate into the posting preview. This is a good tool that I can just use before posting the actual invoice, because I'm learning, I'm the accountant or in charge of the administrator of the finance module. So I want to test my operations. Okay, let's just preview before posting the actual GL entries. Okay, so I have coming from this invoice, the GL account number held. This is a direct cost account as an example. This is a sale operation. Let's review. Coming for the domestic and the retail. All right, this is the most important criteria. That's why this specific account was selected. All right, but also as well, we have here my account number one, of course, is inventory, right? But also I have taxes, okay? Normally handled or held in the section number 2 for excuse me, for my section, I need to verify that those type of accounts, I haven't explained the taxes yet, just coming at this point for the selection of the specific sales account, okay? I'm not gonna go further with all the accounts, the explanation of what I have. Taxes, I need to select sales accounts, in this example only, this one, and direct cost when it apply, right? But for now, I'm just going to leave it here just to understand the general, okay? And the general type of posting groups for purchases and sales also are going to update my customers, right? The customer ledger entry and the item ledger entry to affect my sales operations and the inventory held for the item selected and the specific warehousing, because in some places in the different warehouse items have different costs and different prices. Okay, I'm gonna go at last with that. Hopefully this was helpful to understand how the sales account was selected. I'm not going further. I'm not working with complications with type of discounts or a credit invoices for your customers when you have returns, etc. But everything works the same way. All right. The document that the user prepares needs to be linked for sales, for trade operations to the, let me just exit, to the general setup explained before, right, in the matrix that I was showing. Hopefully it's not that complicated. We need to make some, whenever you want some specific training, okay? But for now, this is the general posting group. It's all related to my customer, my vendors, and very important. Let me continue with my presentation. General posting groups, we work with purchase, sales operations, and inventory. So it's customer, vendors, the item, and in some places, the resource. Because we sometimes, because I explained you that we have service items. So we can create, we sell some items and later we can provide maintenance. We have a module for services. And then we do not only assign, when we go with the customer and assign and provide a service, we can assign either items or resources, people working, and they also sell, and they also have expenses, travel expenses, as an example. So basically that's it. Hopefully that was clear enough. It's the most difficult part. We have a lot of accounts, but now we're gonna go and use the same criteria, but to review the specific posting groups. The specific posting groups is a one-to-one relationship. Like, for example, here is the complete list of posting groups I have for customers, but this is not the, it's completely separated from what we have seen. Previously, we were working with trade type of accounts, but now it's different. It's for accounts receivable, of course, related and tied and linked to a customer. Accounts payable to a vendor, all right? And for specific posting groups, it's not a matrix making different type of combinations. This is only a one-to-one relationship. Customers need an accounts receivable account. The vendors need an accounts payable. Inventory will require an inventory account or a WIP account when we have manufacturing or assembly management or lean manufacturing. Bank posting groups will require a one-to-one relationship with GL. So you can create, this is a best practice for reconciliation, because normally we want to see when we reconcile our banking module, we have different forms and we have automated processes, but here, one bank account should be held in a single GL account to avoid confusion when we reconcile. So it's a best practice. As well, we have fixed asset posting groups. Why? Because we have an acquisition cost, all right? Your fixed asset needs an account that will be held on the fixed asset segments in your asset section, but also we require posting groups for your depreciation. So we have that type of activity and we require a depreciation account, or it depends if you want to depreciate by type of asset. So one for I don't know, for your cars, for machinery, for office appliances or electronics. I don't know, it depends what type of assets you manage, but sometimes some companies won't use a one-to-one relationship with the type of asset, right? And as well, here is also a depreciation account. And finally, the tax posting groups. So we handle my operations, we handle our operations for taxes as well, is selected automatically. So let's go very fast and review this type of a criteria here and do a couple of transactions. I'm going to go back to Business Central again. And I'm going to review the customer posting group. Or better, the vendor posting group is a specific type of a posting group. So the vendor posting groups only require a one-to-one relationship with the type of vendor in this case. So it's not complicated. This is not about a matrix anymore, but still very important. So in order to select a payables account, when I process a purchase order, I need to specify in the vendor customer, in the vendor card, the type of payables account handle, all right? Another type of specific vendor, specific posting group is the customer posting. So it's easier now to understand, since you have reviewed the matrix, now the specific are easier to understand. I have customers that are domestic, and I could create the foreign customers, or wholesalers, or retail, or it depends, all right? Your criteria is yours in this case. Basically, and the receivables account, then you will need to, you can add it. Okay, now, also if you offer service charges, here remember, when you open Business Central, we can offer you, by the way, a trial version if you ask me, so you can have access to our demos and practice yourself and see all the webinars. We also have some certifications within Optimus for you to review, and we have materials, training materials, and these videos, of course, in our Optimus TeamWorks site. So just tell me what you need and we can help you with this. Now, continue with the training. All the accounts required here for either general or specific groups, here you can toggle, and all a description of the general use is here. For instance, a payment discount credit account. And here the description is telling me, it specifies the general ledger account to use when you post reductions in payment discounts. Okay, very good. So we have offers. If you pay on time, right, we can provide a discount. And when that happens, I'm going to need an account. Okay, so here we have tons of information for you to learn. And the help is here. Also, well, once we have understand the vendor and customer specific posting group, also you can ask here. Now Business Central has the following functionality. For instance, what is a posting group? And oh, sorry, posting group. Okay, and here we can link your Business Central to our either Microsoft documentation, your internal company documentation, or we can have some from the app sources. So you can go and ask any question. And here, like I said, we are not working on an isolated environment. This is now in the cloud. So you get information from all over the internet. Well, specific areas, not all over the internet. Of course, this is not Google. This is related to our business, Business Central, and business processes. Okay, coming back to the explanation, another type of let me see, it froze for a second. Okay. Very important, you will need a bank posting group. Let me show you the bank account posting group. When we create them, okay, you might have different type of bank accounts, all right? In this case, I have my operating, as an example, my operating bank account, and I actually have my subledger. So I can see, like, with the customers and the vendors, where I have a subledger with the balances and everything. Here I have my bank accounts. Let me show you for the first time for those of you who haven't seen it. And I have a bank account card with communications and general information with the address, the branches, etc. Right? And very important, I could create an EFT, a format, so you can import with some basic customizations, import your actual statements for later review when we actually reconcile. The most important topic for today is that in the posting section, we can configure the currency code of your specific bank account, right? The checks, the last check number or digits that you currently use for your checkbooks, etc. Remittance advices, statement numbers, coming from the bank, and most importantly for today, the bank account posting group. So this is my savings account that is in my demo Worldwide Bank, right? This is just a brand that I just invented, and this is the savings account for the company, okay? The important thing is that I have created my bank account posting group, and this is a specific type of posting group, and this is an account that I use, a posting group that I just used like before, a one-to-one relationship. In this case, with my GL account, well, petty cash. This is not actually something that I would like to see. Nothing related to petty cash I want in my bank account. Okay, savings account as an example, right? Could be another example. Or I could create a GL account specifically for banks. That is most of the time happening, all right? So just as an example, you decide which account you need. We preferably have a bank section, and then we are going to then just add the specific GL account and connect it. So when we, as an example, transfer money or receive money, either, I don't know, from just cash receipts from our customers, okay, in which bank you want to put the money, okay, or coming from the stores. Okay, you at the end of the day, you close the store and you're going to, or the shift, and then put the money in any bank and deposit the money, and then come into Business Central and prepare a general journal in order to actually update as well your bank, your subledger, and as well the GL account, okay, in connection with the posting group. Okay. There's a lot of information behind all of this, because every posting group has specific operations, all right? I'm just giving you some insights. But, okay, talking about some specific features, the specific posting groups, okay, we have verified in first place the vendor posting groups for AP processes. And here in my presentation that I'm going to provide you, I'm explaining you everything with or slicing and dicing my explanation. The vendor posting groups is for accounts payable, and you set up this in the vendor card. And here is my explanation, all right? So just for you to take some other learning process, not only the webinar. The bank posting groups is where I have just explained, used for cash management. You just open the bank account card, and here immediately just create and link the currencies account, and in the bank account posting group, review it, search it in Business Central, and then link with a GL account. Next is the inventory posting setup. This is a specific one, but it is according to the operation of your company. Of course, we have different type of items like we reviewed before: services, finished items, raw material resale, and then allocation. Okay, allocation is a warehouse, basically where you store your items, and this is some of the last explanations for posting groups, just for you to take the idea. Let me just go back to Business Central. Let me explain you a little bit about the inventory posting groups. Inventory posting setup is where I'm going to be actually selecting an account when I do my operations. For instance, if I purchase, like I explained before, normally we record the expense, but at some point you pay your purchase invoices, and that means that the inventory is now yours, basically, right? Once the inventory is yours, we need an inventory account or a WIP account. It depends if you manufacture, but the idea is that with the type of item, you select your inventory account. So that's very easy to understand, right? And well, my inventory account is number 1, right, in this example. And guess what? Now, important for multi-sites companies, which means that they have different warehouses, okay? Sometimes in some warehouses, you actually pay, I don't know, insurances to import, and then you pay customs, basically. So this could be in some warehouses. Let's make an example. I'm an importing company, so I have I'm receiving the custom, and I import my goods, and I immediately receive that in the East warehouse. So this is a location code with the resale item, and currently have that inventory account, all right? Then we could separate it if you wanted, because let's say that after that you transfer from the East to the main warehouse, but you need to add the services or the transportation expense, right, while we are purchasing, right, to the item cost. So when the item reaches the main warehouse or any other warehouse, it has another value, correct? Because the transportation cost was added to the item, all right? So that's why we can separate the inventory account if you want it to link it to the specific warehouses, all right? I have the main warehouse, the outsourced logistic or own logistic as an example. So I'm just showing you the list of locations, because also I have, and I need to measure the items in transit. Sometimes they haven't reached yet my warehouses. They are still in transit, like in the example where I'm importing, but I still need to know where my inventory value is. So that's why I have the possibility to separate, and I could create an in-transit account, right? So I can then understand what is the value of my specific inventory at any point. Hopefully that is a good explanation. And well, as well, I have more accounts, not only the normal inventory, but I have WIP accounts, material variances, because capacity, this is more or less related this is related to manufacturing, right? And well, of course, for those of you who want to assembly or or manufacture items, okay, you have your WIP accounts. When you haven't yet reached your finished product, okay. So meanwhile, we'll be having the value on an inventory account called WIP account. Then the capacities, variances, and subcontracted variances account, overhead variance account, manufacturing overheads, all are these accounts are related to manufacturing as well. But here we are adding some other variables, okay, like the capacity, the subcontracted vendors that I have. So the item requires something, I send it to a vendor, and the vendor then give me the item back, but it has another value, right? So we have other type of criteria, all right? Only for those of you who work with assembly or manufacturing. Okay, so basically we're gonna need inventory accounts. That's the idea of the explanation for today. This is what we're gonna need, the general and the basic posting groups. All right, if I actually come back and create, I don't know, now let's create a purchase order. The same will be happening. The users will never see any type of GL account, all right? I'm just gonna create a purchase order where I'm gonna, let's use the one that is created just for it to save some time. Graphic Design Institute vendor was selected for this type of a purchase order. Also, I have in the line section my items. Okay, I'm purchasing Moscow swivel chair and Atlanta whiteboard. Very interesting, because here business intelligence is telling me, hey, you are running out of stock today for the items that you normally purchase with this vendor. Do you want to add to this document the items in order to avoid the out of stock? This is actually in the future, all right? This is an interesting message, because I can show you with this a little bit of business artificial intelligence. So okay, before going to the final GL account, or to review the GL accounts that will be held for this operation, the purchase order, I just wanted to run a forecast run by business intelligence, artificial intelligence, and this is telling me that in the future, I will be, for March, I'm going to need, here you can see the month, for 9th of March of the year, of the same year, I will be running out of minus 40 items. Well, the type of item that I'm ordering here. So that's good. So you can here as well create another purchase order, or an invoice, or show a sales forecast, inventory forecast, like I'm doing today. Okay, just as an FYI. Now, the important thing for the final part of my webinar, the webinar for today, is that I need to review if I purchase the GL accounts that will be selected for my purchase operation. What am I affecting with this purchase order? Okay, this is telling me that I affecting 9 GL accounts, mainly not only the chart of accounts, but the vendor ledger entry to update the balance with the amount I need to pay. The item ledger entry with the value of the items that I will be adding, right? And specific dates. And the item ledger entry is handling information about the item. So there are a lot of type of registers, not only the normal value or posted to the GL account. Oh, sorry, still don't have values because I haven't yet invoiced my purchase. But I will be affecting the taxes. Let me show you this. Okay, will be the base amount of my purchase order and the amount taken to be held for my tax authorities, okay, and so on. So this is creating all the information for me. All right, and let's take a look at the type of selection that this order is doing. This is for a purchase, domestic vendor, and retail type of item. Okay, so very important to try to understand what I'm doing behind the scene in order to get to the point with the actual posting groups. Now, another thing that I wanted to explain is that you can customize now your windows. You don't need a programmer anymore to customize. You just can add, I don't know, some fields, the department code, because I'm making some expenses. You just drag and drop your fields to the position that you want. Coming back then to the presentation of posting groups. Once I have just understood this part, in this case, I have an invoice. Let me just review. As well, I'm only posting, as well as you can see here, cost. This is the cost is of course the inventory. Okay. I have also the taxes that we review here and the value of my total purchase. All right, held here, and well, now this will be at the end a passive. So this is held now in the accounts payable, account number 20100. Okay, so all the transactions are working together here. AP, the purchasing, the cost, inventory, everything now will be held and reviewed in the GL entries preview before I actually post my actual purchase order. The user never actually or should never select a GL account unless you want to post a direct expense. That is as well possible. Just for you to know, if I handle in my purchase and I can select instead of an item a GL account, I will only I want to post with an error for the GL account for you to see how the posting groups will be working. Okay, I will be paying interest expense or processing fees. Any type of fee that I have with the vendor is not a problem. All right. Now, what will be happening here if I once again review? I have included let me just select my fee that I will be paying. Here I have the direct unit costs. I don't know, maybe $15 as an example. What is going to happen if I just post or preview the posting is that I will be having another entry, but this will be only specifically for the GL account that I have just selected. Okay, so basically here is the GL account, can be selected if I want it, and here are my $15. Okay, last, let me show you the tax posting groups. That's very interesting because that changes according to your localization. Okay, talking about the posting groups, let me just review the final. This only takes 2 minutes just to finalize my webinar. The tax posting group. Okay, we as well have, in order to calculate some taxes, the same criteria where we can actually create a matrix for combination with a type of customers and items as well, or services, or another idea is a taxable, non-taxable type of items. All right, so here is very, very important this will be this setup that I'm doing currently. Now that you know about posting groups, I'm creating the same idea of the domestic services here. Now I'm selecting the type of groups, services and retail, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, I'm oversimplifying, but of course we have more setups here, okay? Domestic retail. Then we need a tax identifier that will be selected so the user can understand domestic. And here, we have different type of taxes, okay? In the USA, we handle the type of sales tax. Sales tax is related to the district, the city, and the date, all right? The county, I mean. Okay, we have a full VAT when we do not want to, when we post invoices that will be only pure taxes. We have the possibility, all right? You can select it. Or then reverse charge tax, because we also need sometimes to make some corrections, and normal VAT. Normal VAT is only a percentage that I will be applying to either purchases or sales operations according to your zone, maybe, or your country. Overall in Mexico, we have a 15%. Okay, this was not pre-configured because I'm working currently on a United States version. I'm gonna go back to explain that for the USA. But here for majority, or normally for all the countries, just let's make a combination between your customers or vendors, the type of product as we did before, select the percentage, and we just need to select normal VAT. After that, of course, I need an account that will be used to register either the purchase or the sales taxes. So, but that's now easier to understand, all right? The idea is that I will be having this type of configuration. Create the matrix in combination with customers and products, or vendors and products, and add a percentage that will be added to the operation, or basically will be handled that way. Now, if I, let me just delete this for a second. I'm not going to need this in the US version. For the US, here, if you are not part of if you are not working in the USA or with the USA version, the webinar is finished. If you don't have further questions, right? Please let me know, any of you who want in the chat, who want this material, who wants this video, or who wants my presentation, etc. All right, or if you have further questions, please just let me know so I can just finalize this. So I can just finalize the webinar for those of you who are not working in the USA. Thank you very much. And well, I'm gonna just continue just with the last part of these presentations with the explanation for the USA. Okay, just for taxes. In the USA version, we handle some districts. We handle different areas, and this is quite different when we set up the posting groups, because we'll be all the time different according to the specific. Let me just open this setup sales areas according to the specific district, county, or city where you live. We are going to be handling different type of so here, as an example, I have different areas for my taxes, and I just wanted to verify that for the USA,
To avoid confusion, I just separated for normal presentation. I handle currently in my company operations in Atlanta, Chicago, Illinois, Miami, Florida, and Atlanta, okay? So this is basically different districts or area in the USA where I actually have operations for sales and purchases. What it means is that I will be then, I need to then configure, because Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, and Atlanta North have different type of taxes. Okay, also the cities, or if I move items from one state to another, I'm going to be calculating different type of taxes for different regions, right? So in that case, the posting groups will be changed a little, because for you, well, we need to pay attention of your different jurisdictions, okay, and select then the type of a posting group. Okay, so let's pay attention to the following matrix. For Florida, which is the tax jurisdictions that I showed you before, I'm going to handle the operations with furniture, labor, materials, non-taxable, and supplies. This example, I do not have food stamps, but sometimes for retail are important. Okay, for Florida, I have different type of items. These use sales and use tax, okay? So here I have the tax below minimum, just edit the list. Okay, so you are going to start charging some taxes after or only if the amount is below $5 for the furniture type of items in Florida, all right? But it of course can change for here this is Georgia, and in Georgia we only have $3 as the threshold for the tax below minimum in order to start charging, okay? As well, I have a maximum for the states that actually handle that, and tax above maximum. So according to the criteria that you want to select in this example, we need to specify the specific combination between your tax jurisdiction and the amount maximum or minimum thresholds and the type of a product that we are going to handle, either because we transport it or because we have operations with different states or counties. Now, if I talk about the tax jurisdiction, of course, I'm going to need a tax account for sales and purchases as well for different regions. So you can separate your different operations by account by type of jurisdictions that we have. Okay, and here, of course, well, the percentage. So what happened if within Miami or Florida, I make operations in the Dade County, okay, also in Miami, okay? Then among these different counties, I will be adding percentages or rolling up the total value of the tax operations. For instance, for Miami is 1%, okay? But if also Dade counties as well in Miami, well, we are going to summarize the total, which will be 2%, okay, as an example. So according to how you do operations among the cities and the counties, then we are going to be handling different type of taxes that will be rolling up or adding to get the final value for your taxes, right? When you either purchase or have sales operations. And we are more eager to continue explaining if you have more depths for those of you who work with the USA localization and explain you further how we actually set up all of this. So, but the idea is that I want to give you that you need to understand that we work with cities, counties, with the percentages, and we work with the sales and use tax and none with the previous value, with the regular a posting group with for the other countries, because for the USA we work with other criteria, with geographical areas, and with sometimes thresholds. Okay, also we have another form that you manage in the USA for tax reports. But I'm going to explain, or I can explain tax reports in another session. For now, this is it. Thank you very much for your time.